Hey, this is Josh from the Camera Project, and we're here to discuss the Panasonic GX8 and Firmware 2.0. A few months ago I had the chance to review this camera and noticed a few negative things about the camera, mainly the Shutterstock issue. If you don't know, Shutterstock is when the vibration of the actual shutter opening and closing causes a vibration in the camera, which actually makes your image sort of be double banded, like you kind of see a ghost of everything in the image, and it was making things not crisp. And it happened at a certain shutter speed range from around a 60th of a second to around 1/400th of a second. So what this firmware does for that is they've added a feature called eShutter Auto. And the way it works is when you're between that shutter range of 1/60th to 1/400th of a second, the camera will go into electronic shutter automatically. And it's actually really intelligent because one of the side effects of electronic shutter can be rolling shutter, which means if you have a fast moving subject or you're moving, you can actually notice slanted things across your frame. So what they've done to eliminate this is the camera can actually detect not only subject motion, things moving in the frame, but also camera motion. And if it notices you're moving a lot, it will actually throw it back to the mechanical shutter, which of course could lead back to the Shutterstock issue, but I found that in 75–80% of the situations I encountered, it actually solved the problem really nicely. The only issues are fast-moving subjects like sports or things like street photography where you're on the go, maybe you're not stopping to take the picture, you're kind of doing it as you're walking. It will go back to mechanical shutter, and therefore you could have that Shutterstock issue again. But I found that this Firmware 2.0 does a really nice job in addressing this fault with the camera. Is it perfect? No, it's not, but it goes a long way to help this problem and negate the issue. Now, one downside to this is that I've noticed on Olympus lenses, because they don't develop the firmware together, it won't throw the camera into electronic shutter auto mode. So it's just something to keep in mind if you're using a lot of Olympus lenses. Let's talk about the second thing in the Firmware 2.0 upgrade, and that is post-focus. So what is post-focus? Well, it's something that photographers have probably been wishing for a long time, and that's the ability to focus after the fact. How is it doing that? It's doing it by shooting a 4K video, and then basically you shoot the 4K video as if it were a still and just hold the camera over your subject, and later you can go in, tap on the screen, and swipe and pick your focus point. You can see peaking, you can zoom in, and make sure you've really nailed that focus. So who is this for? It could be for anyone, but you have to keep in mind you're limiting your resolution down to 8 megapixel or 4K, and you're not shooting RAW. So you may not want to do it all the time, but if you really need to know that you nailed that focus and want to be able to go back after the fact and really fine-tune it, post-focus might be great for you. Now, if you need to stack your focus for, say, a macro to have unlimited depth of field, then you're going to need to do that in software. And it is a little bit of an effort when you're dealing with a movie as your source. But it can be done, and all in all, I think this Firmware 2.0 is really just a nice way, and Panasonic showing that they are updating their cameras and giving people features, and it's not just problem solving, but actual features that make your camera more useful for a long time to come. So I'd like to thank the folks over at Unique Photo for lending us this new loaner of the GX8 so we could test out these new features. If you don't know Unique Photo, please check them out at uniquephoto.com for all their great photo gear, classes, and everything they offer at their store. Please check it out, guys, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks a lot.